Have you ever gotten a raise and felt richer for about 2 weeks? Then, somehow, the feeling disappeared. The money was still coming in, but the relief never showed up. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't measure money by how much you have. It measures money by how much more you have than before. And that comparison resets almost instantly. Most people think financial stress comes from not earning enough, but for a lot of people, it isn't the paycheck that's the problem. It's what happens in the 6 weeks after the paycheck grows. And that's exactly why someone can double their income over 10 years and still feel like they're one bad month away from trouble. You can earn more money and still feel financially behind. If this pattern repeats every year, it doesn't just cost money, it costs flexibility. It costs the ability to take a risk, change careers, or breathe during a slow month. Not because of some disaster, just because of a habit nobody noticed forming. This is the story of a man who did everything right and still couldn't explain where the money went. Joseph is 29. He works in operations for a mid-sized logistics company in Ohio. 4 years ago, he made $52,000 a year and shared a two-bedroom apartment with a roommate to split the rent. Today, he makes $81,000. He has his own one-bedroom, a newer car, a gym membership, a weekend golf habit he picked up because two guys on his team play on Saturdays. None of it feels excessive. Every purchase made sense at the time. The car was getting old. The apartment with a roommate stopped feeling appropriate for someone his age. Golf was a way to build relationships with people who could help his career. But last month, his transmission needed a $1,400 repair, and he had to put it on a credit card. He makes almost $30,000 more a year than he used to, and he still didn't have $1,400 sitting in a bank account. This isn't a story about bad math. Joseph can do math. This is about something researchers call lifestyle adaptation, the tendency for spending to rise at roughly the same speed as income until the gap between what you earn and what you keep barely moves. It's not one big decision. It's a series of small, reasonable-looking ones, each one justified on its own. None of them ever add up in your head because you never see them side by side. Every upgrade in Joseph's life had a story behind it. The apartment upgrade wasn't about ego. Living with a roommate at 29 started to feel like standing still while everyone else moved forward. The car wasn't about ego either. His old one had 140,000 miles on it, and a breakdown on the highway once genuinely scared him. Golf wasn't a hobby he chased. It was where his manager and two directors happened to spend their Saturday mornings, and Joseph noticed that the people who got promoted were usually in that group. Every single decision taken alone sounds completely reasonable. That's the part that makes this pattern so hard to see. You could make the exact same choices for the exact same reasons and end up in the exact same place. So here's the question worth sitting with. If every decision made sense, how did the outcomes still go wrong? The answer isn't about willpower. It's about a mental shortcut called anchoring. Once your spending settles at a new level, your brain treats that level as the baseline, not a choice, just normal life. Going backward from a new normal feels like a loss, and people will do almost anything to avoid a feeling of loss, even things that don't serve them long term. Which explains a strange fact. Joseph's savings rate today is roughly the same as it was 4 years ago. Not because he's careless, because his baseline moved with his income, quietly, month after month, without ever asking permission. There's a second layer to this, social comparison. Joseph wasn't comparing his life to a stranger on the internet. He was comparing himself to the two directors on the golf course, people 10 years ahead of him in both career and income. His spending wasn't keeping up with his peers. It was keeping up with people he hoped to become. That's a much more expensive comparison to lose. Owen works two departments over from Joseph. Same company, similar title, and a salary of $79,000, almost identical to his. Owen isn't extreme about money. He still goes out with friends. He bought a new laptop this year because his old one was falling apart. He isn't chasing a minimalist lifestyle or restricting himself out of fear. Here's the one habit that's different. Every time Owen's income goes up, he moves half of the increase into savings before he ever sees it hit his checking account. The other half, he lets himself spend freely, guilt-free. When he had a $4,000 raise, $2,000 quietly redirected itself. The other $2,000 became his to enjoy, no math required. He didn't decide this through incredible discipline. He decided it once, automated it, and then stopped thinking about it. The decision only had to happen a single time. Owen isn't wealthy. He isn't retiring early. But when his car needed a $900 repair last spring, he paid it and moved on with his week. That's the entire difference. Not income, not sacrifice. One repeatable rule set once that quietly worked in the background while life happened. Here's a question worth asking yourself directly. If your income doubled tomorrow, would your savings double with it? Or would your life just get more comfortable at the exact same financial edge you're standing on right now? Most people answer that question honestly and don't love the answer. Fast forward 3 more years. Joseph gets offered a job at a competitor. More interesting work, better long-term prospects, but a $6,000 pay cut for the first 18 months while he ramps up. He wants to take it. He also can't. His monthly expenses have grown to match his current income so closely that even a temporary cut feels financially impossible. He turns the offer down, not because it was the wrong opportunity, because his lifestyle had quietly removed his ability to choose. Owen gets a similar offer around the same time, same pay cut, similar timeline. Because he's been saving half of every raise for 3 years, he has a buffer that can comfortably absorb 18 months of lower income. He takes the job. Same starting salary, same city, same industry. Two completely different sets of options, built years before either offer ever showed up. This is the real cost of lifestyle adaptation. It doesn't show up as debt or disaster. It shows up as a door that quietly closes long before you ever knew you'd want to walk through it.
So, why does making more money so rarely feel like enough? Because enough was never a number. It's a moving target that resets itself every time your income moves, unless you interrupt the pattern on purpose. The shift isn't to earn less, spend nothing, or feel guilty about a nicer apartment or a Saturday round of golf. The shift is smaller than that and far more repeatable. Decide in advance what happens to your next raise before your lifestyle gets the chance to decide for you. Income creates opportunity. What you do with the space between raises determines whether that opportunity ever becomes freedom. So think back to your own last raise. Where did it actually go? And more importantly, did you decide that, or did it just happen? If you enjoy real money stories and practical wealth building lessons, subscribe to Wealth Ridge. Learn from the stories, apply the lessons, build your wealth.